It's been a weekend of violent riots in the Los Angeles area as the anti-ICE protests take place. And joining us now to discuss this and more is Lisa Daftari, our U.S. correspondent from the Foreign Desk in Los Angeles. Lisa, President Trump sends in the National Guard. California Governor Newsom not terribly happy about that. You want to expand on that a bit?
Yeah, he's actually threatened to bring a lawsuit against Trump for taking the actions that he has, for sending the National Guard, for, just wanting to place blame on the White House for the chaos that is unfolding and the lawlessness that is unfolding on the streets of Los Angeles. As we have seen all throughout social media, the line that keeps repeating itself with many people saying you are entitled to peaceful protest. You're not entitled to burn flags and burn cars and
No
vandalize
kidding.
property and to attack police officers. I saw another post that said, imagine being a police officer in Los Angeles where your own mayor, your own governor, and, so many others believe you are the bad guy instead of, you putting yourself, at risk and in the line of fire to help others. So, yeah, it's been crazy, but, this is Los Angeles, and for wherever it was George Floyd and then it was BLM, and
Yeah.
we've seen so much of this before.
Yeah,
It's
and we were just chatting before the program here. I sometimes wonder, who are these people? What's their worldview? And, are they genuinely concerned? And they're doing this kind of out of the goodness of their hearts. So that's how they see the world. They're helping the world, the situation, whatever. Or are some of them actually paid activists?
Yeah, and it begs the question because you see them taking off from work. You see them with organized T-shirts and organized matching flags, and we saw this with the encampments, the pro-Hamas encampments on the university campuses. And when you dig a bit deeper, it is a lot of these disruptors that have billions of dollars, and they put it into these grassroots organizations that then go on and organize these protests on the ground. We saw it on social media. They tell people where to be, what time to be there,
Hmm.
and they just they triage, they send out all throughout Los Angeles. We see this with, again, the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas movement. They work throughout Los Angeles, and they harass people, they bully people, they show up at protests, they show up in front of the embassy, things like that. And here again, we're seeing the same thing. And again, whatever our views are, and that's a longer discussion to have about the immigration policy of the Trump administration, there's no reason to burn American flags and to wave Mexican flags. There's no reason to
Yeah.
attack police officers and to use violence and vandalism to make their points heard. So horrific. And there's
Yeah.
a reason why the National Guard was dispatched. So
Yeah, and of course that's a point of contention. Who's in charge of the National Guard, right? So, Trump invoking, special, I guess, yeah, whatever laws to do that. But and apparently if I read correctly, it looked like the leader of ICE is talking about arresting Governor Newsom, and he's daring him to do so. Go ahead, arrest me, sort of thing. Does that got any legs? Could he actually arrest him?
I know there's a lot of threats being thrown around, and we saw just a handful of civilian arrests, obviously, in this, trying to make at least examples out of those who are breaking the law. Well, if the governor is breaking the law, then the threat stands. I mean, look, why should a governor or a mayor or anyone who is in the power, in the position of power, stand in the way of lawmakers doing what they need to do, and those who are, whether it's the police, whether it's ICE, whether it is coming from the White House, the reason they're doing this is to stop illegal immigration. California is home to so many wonderful legal migrants.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, there is this influx of illegal migrants, many of them being very much a part of this community in terms of doing construction and doing a lot of the labor-intensive work, and that makes it a very, again, sensitive subject for many people. And I think, again, that on its own deserves another conversation. But we're talking right now about the lawlessness. We're talking about standing in the
Yeah.
way. We're talking about, getting into the streets. I mean, when you're in a position of legitimacy, like Governor Newsom, like Mayor Bass, like so many of the others who have spoken out against the government, then it's damaging. I mean, we have to be on the same side. This is really, it's a nonpartisan issue when you think about national security. I mean, when you want to keep Americans safe by
Hmm.
keeping unsafe people out of our country. So It's all in the goal is that. Now how it is carried out is very tricky, very nuanced, and very complex.
Fine line to tread for sure. Trump's travel ban on 12 different countries goes into effect today. So, which countries and what's the response from Americans? Are they okay with this or?
Right. We saw this under the first Trump administration as well.
Yeah.
There was a lot of backlash, a lot. And some tried to call it the Muslim ban because many of the countries that are on there are in the Arab world, are in the Middle East, are Muslim countries. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. This is not Islamophobia. This is not a target on Muslim countries. This is a list of countries where we either do not have consular relationship with that country, or we believe that a significant number of nefarious actors are coming from that country. So again, this is in line with our national security efforts to, tighten up, our game and to not allow some of these bad actors from coming into the country. Now, do good people suffer because of these policies?
Right.
Absolutely. There are wonderful people coming in from many of these countries. Look, Iran is on that list, and there's a lot. There's so many wonderful, smart, hardworking people who are attempting to come over, asylees that are trying to come over for protection, and we get that. But at the same time, the reason why this is done, again, the broader, the overarching concept of this policy is to really crack down on national security. And
Yep.
these are the growing pains that we've had such lax laws for 4 years, and we see the results. There are consequences. So this is now the pendulum effect.
Yeah, I mean, again, what's in the national interest, big picture, right? I mean, yeah, it's never going to be perfect, but and the U.S. Meeting, there's U.S.-China trade talks in London today. So, what are the U.S. goals on this one?
I think the Trump administration really, the fact that they're having a meeting is a positive, right? So the
Yeah.
markets will absolutely respond to that. And the fact that we're having the meeting is what Trump said. He said, the countries are falling in line. And obviously, China being the big bad behemoth of the compromising partner here, that will fail to compromise, I'm sure. And it will really put up a tough fight in terms of compromising with Trump. Now, before Donald Trump was even a presidential candidate, before his first term, before he even thought about becoming president, he always talked about how China's taking advantage of the United States. This is a platform he has always had. Love him or hate him, he has been very consistent on this belief that China and many others, but especially China, has taken advantage of the current global climate, and in particular, taken advantage of the United States. And he wants to, even the playing field. So, we hope that we come out with some sort of dialogue, some sort of, of compromise, or working towards some concessions with the Chinese. Because look, you can't live with them, or you can't live without them, kind of thing. And we do hope that we do come to some sort of compromise with them.
Okay. Well, let's shift to the Middle East for a second here. The boat carrying Greta Thunberg, Vice President of the world, to Gaza with relief supplies, it was intercepted by Israeli Navy, and there's, I guess, a dozen activists or so on this thing, and they escorted them to the port where they were actually shown a 43-minute video on the Hamas atrocities on October the 7th. They gave him some sandwiches and water, that sort of thing, but made him sit down and watch. I thought, they need to see that, maybe several times.
They do, but before we get into the video and the sandwiches and the water, she pre-recorded a video saying, "If you're watching this, I've been abducted. I've been taken." Trying to create the propaganda, put out this messaging beforehand to make it look as though, she calls it the occupying, Israeli forces have abducted me. There's so much comments, commentary on social media around this, and saying the real people who have been abducted are those Israeli hostages who still remain in Hamas possession, and you're making light of it by calling yourself abducted when there's footage of you taking sandwiches and water from the Israelis. That's the first thing they give her. The first exchange is a sandwich and a bottle of water, and that photo is circulating widely as well. The video is the next step. Teacher with education. She was warned not to enter a war zone. She decided to enter a war zone. And they, of course, took her in because she's, again, entering a war zone. Anyone would be taken in when they're
Yeah.
entering a war zone, and again, was warned not to do so. So again, trying to create this again, very viral moment for herself. Once again, as you said, vice president of the world. I don't know if maybe she wants to be president of the world. She wants that promotion. But this is just another scheme, and it's horrific to really take advantage of this situation and inserting herself just for notoriety. And it's crazy how many people eat this up. Really educate yourselves on what's going on in the Middle East rather than looking to this child who knows nothing and tries to just insert herself, and by taking on such a mission to go into a war zone with really no context. I mean, why are you going? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? The amount of aid that she's bringing in is minuscule compared to the amount of aid going in every day, and no one's really covering what's going in every day, but everyone is really fixated on this child trying to make a moment for herself, going into a war zone. So I hope she
Yeah.
enjoyed her sandwiches, and I hope she enjoyed the footage of October 7th, where I hope something got in there about what's really going on in the world.
All right. Well, we'll leave Greta behind for now. Off to South America, Colombia, an assassination taking place there. Presidential candidate, right wing, right? He gets shot at a rally. So, what's that all about?
Yeah, he had a surgery. He was in critical condition, had a surgery, and the surgery actually went well.
Okay.
A right-wing candidate. We're seeing this kind of referendum sweep the world, throughout Europe, throughout Latin America, this kind of push to go right because the left has gone too left. Obviously, again, the pendulum back throughout the world. And again, you see this with the Donald Trump effect, many are calling it, because of him. A lot of Donald Trump type right-wing candidates, the logic, common sense candidates, are gaining a lot of popularity and a lot of momentum. He was shot and in the back, a young guy, at a rally. And, I don't know if this will make him more popular or it'll make him and his party recoil a bit, just because, this is the way things are in that part of the world. Obviously political opponents, this is how they take things into their own hands. We saw, 2 assassination attempts, or more, I should say, 2 significant assassination attempts on our own president, Donald
Yeah.
Trump. So it's nothing new. I think this is a lot of maybe copycat types of attacks as well. But we wish him well, and we'll see what this means in
Yeah.
the bigger scheme
Okay.
of things.
Well, U.S. President Donald Trump and Elon Musk, their ongoing feud shows no signs of ending here, and Trump says he has no plans to actually speak to him. So, any updates on that feud?
So it's either 2 very egotistical men really putting out all their dirty laundry and attacking each other publicly, or this is something else of a feud. I mean, a lot of people think this is just theater and it's not real, but it is meant to distract from other things. It's just politics as usual. And others believe that this actually would have happened and that it was predicted, that they actually don't agree on everything, so that their differences would cause this major public rift, as it has. So, it's either way, it's damaging. I don't think this is a good look for either one of them, or
Oh,
for the
no.
government. Yeah, or for the
Yeah.
wonderful things that they have been able to accomplish together.
Yeah, I mean, what's the actual root cause of this? Do you think? I mean, I know again, Trump has been, I guess, talking about taking away some of the subsidies, of course, for electric vehicles, which has a huge impact, of course, on Elon Musk's finances. That's part of it there, and of course, Elon criticizing the big beautiful bill, saying it's an abomination. It's going to cost trillions of tax dollars and so forth, put us further into debt. So, yeah, what do you think the root cause
So
is?
this is right, and you hit right at it. This is the root of the issue, is exactly this big, beautiful
Okay.
bill that will, be damaging to Elon Musk and his various businesses, mainly to Tesla. And we've seen Tesla stocks go up and down, according
Yeah.
to the way that this kind of public argument goes. But I think Elon knew from the very beginning that this party and this president isn't really pro EV. They were actually pro drilling, and that's just the way it is. So I'm not convinced that would cause such a shocking kind of argument between the two. So what really is it? If you don't agree with the guy you're working with, you can talk it out. I'm sure the president and vice president don't agree on everything. So again, we don't know what the root cause is. I'm not buying it that it's just the big beautiful bill or that it's, the
Yeah.
subsidies.
Well,
Tesla. So
I just wish, two huge leaders in the world would just learn to maybe demonstrate a bit of, common sense and kindness to one
right.
another. Say, hey, let's be respectful. We disagree,
Yes.
but stop calling each other names and putting each other down. Just
Yeah,
guys,
and I
grow up.
think one of the things about this administration that people appreciate is the transparency, and I think sometimes they're a bit too transparent, and the cameras are on, and social media accounts are, you stop tweeting your issues and the stuff that has to be said quietly in the back. There still should be things that are kept quietly in the back.
Thanks so much, Lisa, for your time as always.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Lisa Daftari, our U.S. correspondent from the Foreign Desk in Los Angeles.